But my hair is all over the place.
You look beautiful.
I desperately want to get a hat.
You want me to send you a kitchen table TCG hat?
No, I have my hats that I wear. They're just upstairs.
I have kitchen table TCG ones.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to. Let's go! Is it my intro?
Welcome, everyone.
Oh, that was a direct ripoff. That wasn't cool.
To the reaction phase, our midday lunchtime episode where Josh is working a real job and Louis is being unemployed.
Unemployed.
Unemployed. Hope you guys are having yourself a fantastic day. Welcome back to the podcast, America's best TCG podcast. You can just say that. No one's gonna.
We're also a flesh and blood podcast. You are
America's second best flesh and blood podcast behind Arsenal Pass. And welcome to the fun. Hope you guys are having yourself a good day. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and wherever you're listening to us right now. And then we're also on the 2 YouTube channels. Today you're listening to us on
HometownTCG.
And next week you can listen to us on Kitchen Table TCG because we're partners. Dude, nice Min-Max Games shirt. Are we sponsored by Min-Max Games now?
Thank you. Dude, I shot content from the Min-Max Games booth all weekend long. I spent as much time in the Min-Max Games booth as the Min-Max Games guys. So, and this hoodie is really comfy. They gave me a really comfy hoodie.
I don't have a Min-Max Games hoodie. They sponsor my channel. How am I supposed to wear it on the stream? Are they gonna sponsor you? You're gonna steal my sponsorship, aren't you? Love it. Yeah, so we did this episode already while you were in Indianapolis, and 15 minutes it worked, and then your internet cut out, and so then it was like,
shout out Min-Max Games internet for not being that great. Works for them, not for 4K video streaming.
So we are redoing this, which is actually good because now we have like the ending. We know the way that the calling ended. We can talk about that.
Sure. It was cool to do it from the floor though, like from the convention floor. That was pretty sweet.
But we're late, so you will either be posting this on Monday or Tuesday, and so we're late. So
no, it's Tuesday because it is Monday, and I put a video out today already. Thanks for following my channel.
Okay, well, what we're talking about today is we got the intro down. We're going to talk about the calling experience. We're going to talk about the calling meta. We're going to talk about the Star, which is Star City Games. We're going to talk about the market, and we're going to have a good time. So,
and in the market section, if you're stick around to the market section, I actually have in market information that Louis doesn't have.
We have the average price of a sold box of Everfest at the calling.
No, I gave you that information mistakenly. I got your initial reaction. And since we are America's favorite TCG podcast, this podcast brought to you by Legions, Realms at War.
Hey.
How many people do you think I can tick off? No, I've been playing Legions. It's a lot of fun.
I can't wait to play with you. We played once, so we're going to play again.
We did. But then I was hardcore calling, and I was hardcore fab, and it was, dude, it was so much fun. I love events like this. Let's get into talking about the experience because I can't listen to you steal and butcher intros anymore because
give me a number 1 to 10 based on your expectations going into the weekend and now looking back. 1 to 10, where did it fit on your rating scale?
I think you and I talked ourselves too close to the ledge of fear. So my expectations were super like, oh no, anything could happen. It could be it was like a 9 to me because it could have like Vegas was better, like right, but it was like an 8 or like a 9 for me. It was super high up there, but the second best fab experience I've ever had as far as big events. But
it was your second experience though, right?
No. Put that. I have 4.
Oh, okay.
4 or 5, 4 or 5. But
wow, you went to 5 major events?
It's like I think 4 or 5. But this one was
better
like
content creator than me.
God, I know. Trust me. That's what I spent all weekend telling everyone. No, it was. We talked about it so much. It was like it could be 30 people.
No, I never said that. Don't put words in my mouth.
I said we.
I never said 30 people. There were
we talked about
signed up.
No, we talked about the one in Georgia that was 88 or whatever. That was kind of sad. Sad day.
Okay.
Yeah. This was without a number, it could be closer to that or closer to Vegas. Like where on the scale was it going to fall? And I got to tell you, and then I was also worried that with it being with MTG events and Magic the Gathering players and everything, it was going to be like, oh, hey, you Fab players go play with your blocks in your corner. Here's the rest of the room is dedicated to MTG. Dude, that was not the case. This was just sick. You walked in and it was like just a split. Like you had this road that went off either way, and the Fab side of the room, man, was just packed. It was huge. It was insane. It was so much fun. I love seeing everyone. I lost my voice. I talk too much. I talk too much on this podcast. I talk too much in person. I talk too much.
I love it. That's what makes you a good content creator.
I like to hear the sound of my own voice.
So it was a 9 out of 10. So I would say for me, I live in two. I live in two.
I said 8. I said 8. I want an 8.
Okay, I live in 2 universes. Things are either 9s or 10s, or they're like 2s or 3s. There's not like a very seldomly does something fall in the middle for me.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes, dude.
Yeah, no, I know.
What?
I know. I'm like the bad guy in the Flesh and Blood world. I love it.
What? Be kind to everyone.
No, that's not the statement. Somebody said that Flake ripped off my ending of the stream at the end of the live stream, and I was like, what? He ripped it. I was like, oh, it's great. He he gave a little homage to my channel. I was honored. And then I went back and watched it, and he was like, hey everyone, remember, he just said, be kind to people. I was like, who said he ripped me off? That's not what I say. I say be kind to the people around you. There's a big difference. There's nobody around me right now.
Anytime someone is nice to somebody, they're ripping Louis off. You heard it here first. So all the people at the calling that were super nice to me, I just looked at them. I was like, "Don't you rip my buddy off?"
There's a big difference between be kind to the people around you and be kind to people. It's a big difference. Anyway, I'm just joking. Anyway, so
yeah, of course.
My point is that I live in absolutes, right? That's okay. Kind of where but this is one of the few things that I feel like it got like a mediocre score for me, like. 400 people, 425 to 500 people.
I think it was 455. You keep saying 425. It's 455.
Well, give those other people told me 425. Anyway,
give those 30 people their count.
450 people seems small to me based on last year's numbers of callings. Like Cincinnati was more than that by a little bit, and like I think this will be the least attended calling of the year. And
okay, I have a reaction to this.
Okay, well, let me finish my point.
Cut you off. Yeah, that's my bad.
I think this will be the least attended calling of the year, and this is less than Cincinnati, which is the less. So, like to me, it says, "Oh, is the game just kind of stagnant?" Which honestly, I think it's fair. Like, I think that's like we had extreme growth, and so like maybe like a stagnant period is okay, and I think it is. We also like the last callings were on the verge of like a major set in Tales of Aria, and Everfest is not like a major new like
right. It doesn't bring anyone new in. Yeah, it helps the people who are already here.
So like this was like a pretty average. I would say for calling it was average. As an event, I thought it was a little underwhelming. Like I thought like the Magic thing, I was like trying to figure out what the main package was.
I don't care about what.
But like my point is like everyone was comparing to the Magic thing. I think it's great that we had equal numbers or around equal numbers or even more than Magic. But like the Magic event kind of seemed not super great to me. So like I think what I'm learning is that TCG events are just not as big as I think that they're going to be.
You suck. I just told you that last night on the car ride home. I said, "Our TCG is it just a? Is this speaking more about TCG events as a whole? Look at your Friday Night Magic, like even the NRG series. That's a huge series. Even their Friday Night Magic are scaled back a little bit. We had a conversation. You just rip.
I'm sorry. I have been thinking.
Remember to be kind to the people around you.
We'll give it to you. You can have it. It's yours. I ripped that off of Josh. Everyone. I don't care to own it.
Yes. I don't have many good points.
I did not mean to just rip that off. I've also been thinking
yeah, you're good.
But like, yeah, I think that's a valid statement where like TCGs just aren't as big as maybe we thought they were in 2020 when we were all stuck inside just looking at them all the time.
Actually, some of us are still just looking at them all the time.
Oh my gosh, I got a mail day today. I got like so many cards from like 8 different TCGs. I was like, what am I doing in my life? I have so many things going on. Anyway, yeah. So tell me a little bit more about it. What were your like fun? What was the walk me through?
Hold on. There's a million things I wanted to react to that you just said, and I let you finish your point, but I forgot what they were.
That's fine.
Because I threw my little tantrum and I smashed my fists on the table.
Your tantrum was beautiful though.
Thank you. I forgot what they were. But the point being, I really enjoyed this event. I thought it was so much fun. And this is what I want to say. So I remember now. You talked about that there was 455, which They announced 455 over the speaker. I'm giving you the exact announced number, and you said 425, and then you wouldn't even go to 455. You said 450. Like
You're
5
so
players
okay.
still matter. Like
455 people. You're so into it.
I'm giving you the number. I'm feeding you the number, and you refuse to say the number.
Okay,
Don't do this.
455.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. There's 455 people, but more than any other event that I've personally been to. I think it's 4. But more than any other event I've been to, there was a lot of people there that were saying, "I'm not playing in the calling." And I was like, "Oh, that's weird to me, because if I travel to this thing, I'm going to play in the calling." Now, whatever happens, but I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to go figure out something to do. They're like, "No, I'm not playing in the calling. That's not really what I want to do. I'm playing in these side events. I'm doing these drafts. I'm checking out these vendors, and I'm sticking around all weekend." And I mentioned that these events are a great place for people in life that are, maybe they enjoyed TCGs as a kid growing up, to spend like 2 days just getting away.
Yeah.
And get into that world and immerse themselves in that world. And the fact that they're in there and they've got this TCG background, they want to spend their free time, and they're not going for the calling, yet they still walk into that room and they pick the flesh and blood side of the room to walk to, even if
there
it's just
two
to
sides of the room? Is that how it was set up?
Yeah, it was like vendors were like right down the middle, and like Magic players and like FaB players.
God,
it was
awesome.
pretty. No, it was pretty sweet, dude. But
we should do a battle royale.
Oh, I'm winning just whatever. That's what I learned this at every TCG event. I'm just freaking huge. Like I don't fit in. I'm in everyone's way all the time. I'm constantly bumping into people. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I need to not be in the middle of things. But for them to pick that time to spend that free time when they're not playing at the calling at this event was extremely important to me. And all these side events that were filled and everything, and even I don't know if we're talking about day 2 or not, but like I thought the battle hardened on day 2 would be maybe a couple people who like washed out of the calling are going to play in the battle hardened. But no, the battle hardened was packed. Like there was 300 and some odd players in the battle hardened the next day, and 90 some odd, 98 or something in day 2. So it was almost the same number of players across 2 days.
It's almost like if you didn't make it to day 2, you just play in the battle hardened.
But there were certain people who I talked to that were just like, I'm just playing in the battle hardened. I was like, it's weird. It's weird to me. But the fact that people are doing that, I thought was a really, really good sign. I was excited by it, man. And I'm an overly positive person. Anytime I can be surrounded by other people that like the same things, I can talk to them about it. I was like, oh, this is just great.
Dude, freaking events are amazing.
They're
like
so
that.
Much fun.
Like I wish I could go to like everyone. It'd be awesome.
Oh,
I say this all the time to like my family. They're like, "Hey, Louis, how's the business going? How's the YouTube channel going?" I say, "I mean, it's great. I wish that I started it when I was in like college. Like, I wish I would have like just not wasted." Like, if you're listening to this right now and you're like, "Should I start something?" Just freaking do it and don't wait. Just do it. Like waiting is dumb. Like, I wish
start it. Start it. Turn off view counts, turn off all that, make content about stuff you like, and then you're going to look back so fondly on that point in your life. It's just start it. And when people put negative comments in the comment section,
read them and let it affect
cry.
Your life and make you sad.
And then get sweet MinMax hoodies, because this podcast is sponsored by MinMax Games.
George is gonna hate that. He doesn't listen anyway.
That's fine.
No, MinMax is great.
MinMax rock. MinMax. I'm gonna say a swear. MinMax kicked ass this weekend.
Wow, ass.
Yeah,
that's really, man.
I said the butt one.
I said the butt. Anyway, so yeah, great. I'm glad that was fun. You though did not have as fun of a time playing the game because you don't know how to write your name on a piece of paper.
We did this on the episode that got scrapped. We already did this. I was
gonna forget.
No, we just did it. We did it already. This is played out.
Everyone, they haven't seen it. Josh didn't pay attention in 4th grade when his teacher told him to write his name on his test. Tell us why you got a IP4 on stream. You having a good lunch break, buddy? Do you want me to tell everybody? Can I
No,
tell them?
okay, no, because you'll lie and there'll be false information out there about me, and then the mob will come after me. No, that's what's happening. I
I
know
would
you.
never put my name on something like that at a lie.
It's on Hometown TCG. That's not your name.
I know. I
You're
was just trying
fine.
to use. I was trying to make another name joke.
So, I, I, I can't throw anything at you. I don't want to ruin this camera. So I got invited to the feature match in round 2. I just came off a round 1 win. I
You're playing
started.
Viscerai?
I was playing Viscerai. I was playing against my second Starvo of the day. I just beat the first Starvo. I was playing. The game was going well, actually. Turn 2, I had a judge come and tap me on the shoulder and refer to me as Mr. Christensen. So you know it can't be good.
It's like your fourth grade teacher.
I'm not even gonna get through the story, am I? So I got pulled away and they said, "Did you turn it in a deck list?" I said, "Absolutely." And the reason I know I turned in a deck list is because I filled it out, an hour and 10 minutes ago. And this is my second game on the deck. So I had to be very diligent about the list. I've never played the deck before. So I know that the list was right. I went over it like 6 times.
Very
They said,
diligent.
"Oh, okay, we don't have one." And then they came back to me and they tapped me and said, "This is your list." And I said, "Oh, yes, that's my list. Thank you." And then
Meanwhile, you're playing the game on stream.
Well, no, they pulled me away.
Okay.
And then I went to turn around and go back to the table. And they said, "Well, how would we know it's your list? Your name's not on it." I said, "Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. My bad. That is definitely my list." They're like, "Well, that means we have no deck list for you, which is a tardiness penalty, which is a round loss." And I said, "I'm confused because you brought that piece of paper to me and told me it was my list."
Yeah.
So I think you do, but doesn't have a name on it. And they're like, "But we're going to be nice to you." I said, "Oh, that's great. I love this. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to give you
you walk away.
we're going to give you an IP4." And I went, "Wait,
can you
what?"
explain to people who might not know what an IP4 is?
So an IP4 is an intellect penalty for 4 turns. So IP stands for intellect penalty. 4 will stand for 4 turns. And what that means is your hero's intellect, where our editor will put a card on the screen right in front of Louis' face. That's not going to happen, but I know. I just want to make it work. There's a little intellect on there. And you draw 1 less card for 4 turns. So I'm playing on OTK Vis against Starvo. Yeah. Drawing 3 cards a turn.
Yeah. For 4
turns. And they told me turn 2 as a content creator. If they would have told me before the game started, I would have just said, "I concede the match."
Yeah, so that the stream's not like a bad stream.
Exactly. It's not a bad stream. Get someone
you
else
weren't. Let's be clear. You were not going in to win the calling. You told me this, that you were originally going to play content Kano, and then you switch over to Viscerai. You're like, "I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna play hard." But
don't get me wrong. I'm going to try to win, but I did not put the level of prep that like Team Ascent puts in. The hundreds and hundreds of games that's required to win an event like that. So I wanted to play. I wanted to do well, but when I lost, I wasn't going to be super upset about it. I was going to do what I do best and enjoy the event and make good content, right? And yes, I just called my own content good.
That's the best TCG content. Of the universe.
Thank you. Just
I've seen all the
drinking the cloud.
I've seen all the content on TikTok. Yours is so much better than that.
Have you seen my OnlyFans?
No.
It's so good, dude. Yeah. So the only thing that upset me is
if there's a market for that, just like playing Flesh and Blood in just the Flesh and Blood.
No. It's spicy cold foils with no protection.
Oh
Hometown TCG OnlyFans. So I got an IP4, but I got a turn 2.
Wow.
And the only reason I was upset is that they didn't tell me at the beginning of the game, because I would have just said, "Hey, I'm not beating Starvo with 3." And then my competitive, because I'm an extremely competitive human. I just don't have the time that like the Ascent guys do. So I was like, because that's not what I do. That's not my grind. And I was like, you know what? How cool would it be to win this? And then as my opponent just Starvo'd me, like it became very clear that I wasn't winning it.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to remain positive and happy on stream, and it was a horrible experience. It was horrible. It was horrible.
You should have fought them on camera. You should have just argued them and fought them on camera and got your way.
You
should be like, "Look, do you know who I am?
I know what you're doing, and if I would have known that would have worked,
that's
I
what
would have
works.
done it. Apparently, apparently that's what works. You don't get to be upset about this. I get to be upset about this. That's not, no, you don't get to take my proxy upsetness. No, we don't use our darn name around here. Team Ascent grinds and they
I love it.
smash through FaB skill.
I want everybody to know I was being highly sarcastic, and I would never want you to do that. I would be ashamed if you did that. If no joke, hands down, if I saw you on camera in a game complaining, like really, like
you see me in the background, like fighting with the judges, like yelling back and forth.
I would be doing this podcast myself, and I'd be like, Josh is off the podcast. Who wants?
I don't think you would. I think you'd give me a chance to like explain, like we talk about it.
I would give you a hard time about it. Like I'm giving you a hard time about the name thing.
No, the name thing is funny. I think that's just bad. Hilarious. Like as a member of the community, you just don't do that. And everyone came up to me, they're like, "Why do you have an IP4? Why do you have?" And I told them, they're like, "Oh, that's BS. That's BS." I'm like, "Well, no, it's the rule. I take responsibility. It's my fault. I just wish it was handled differently."
Your attitude is like inspiring. Like I have learned. I'm not even.
I was salty. I was salty.
Know, but like I was talking to you yesterday about some stuff on the phone, and we were talking about a lot of things. I won't leave them there, but we're talking about some things that were frustrating. And your attitude on the phone and the way that you process things, I'm not just saying this because I'm on the podcast, but like it made me leave the conversation being like, I need to be a better person. Like I need to just be a better person. So
that's the only reason I said it. I didn't believe anything I said. Oh, to make you feel bad.
There you go. All right. So
you got to approach it the right way.
Are you upset that the judges gave you a penalty, or are you just upset that they didn't tell you earlier because you had to play the bad stream game?
That's the second one. It's because we didn't start when you're on the feature table. You don't just start right away. There's a director back there, gentleman named Dan. Awesome dude, super nice guy. Was like,
added me on Twitter. I was pumping Star City Games over the other.
He was sick. Whatever it was, he was super cool. And he was like, when they say Brown start, we don't start. We're gonna start when I say start. We're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because you're working on the cameras and stuff.
The penalty would have been a tardiness penalty, but the amount of time from when we actually started the game to then 5 minutes hadn't passed. So I still had time to sit down at my seat. Right. So those are my couple confusions, but it doesn't make sense. It all boils down to one fact. I didn't write my name on my deck list. Now, the way they chose to handle it, all doesn't matter if I write my name on my deck list. So all of it's a moot point. So I'm upset that as Hometown TCG, I couldn't put an awesome game out there. And now people are like, oh, you and Louis don't play the game. I'm like, no, you. I'm mad.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's sad. I was so excited. I was so happy.
Last question about this, and then we'll just leave it.
Okay.
Do you have a PO box for Hometown TCG? Okay. Well, if somebody wants to send empty blank deck list papers to PO Box 775 in Scott Depot, West Virginia, postal code 25560, I will forward them on to Josh. Just like a stack of them. Just put Josh's name at the top, and he can fill out the rest of it. But that will help him for future. I want people to help you.
Moving on. Let's talk about the rest of the tournament results instead of my inability to follow simple instructions. And no, this boils down. This is LSS's fault.
Wait, we have this relationship where I can make that joke, right? I feel like the comment section is going to be upset at me.
No, 100%.
I feel like we have the relationship where we can joke like that, and maybe not everybody on the back end.
No.
We talked about 2 a.m. last night.
Louis hurt my feelings. I am sad. Help defend me. I am poor, defenseless content creator. Gosh. Walmart taking out the big guy, the little guy.
Let's talk about the meta.
Let's talk about the fact that this is LSS's fault. They made the name box bigger. This is LSS's fault. That's what you told me last night. You're like, this is probably LSS's fault.
Did I say that?
You were like, this is LSS's fault. It's just so horrible. They would treat you that way. No, you didn't say.
In the battle between LSS and Josh from Hometown TCG about the size of the name box, I am team Josh. I agree. It should be giant red line that says, put your name here. I want to reach out. Can I get an interview with your 4th grade teacher and see if they just like
I
teach you that?
just hate you so much. Anyway, we're gonna talk. Let's talk about the overwhelming theme of the weekend. And the overwhelming theme of the weekend was Starvo. Now, whether you were a Starvo player that said, "Hey, sorry, man, I have Starvo," or one of those people that went Yahtzee and just made your opponent feel horrible every time, whatever Starvo player you were,
that people were actually doing that on the side events.
Yeah, it would put Starvo. They'd be like Yahtzee, and I'm like I wanted to. My first round opponent was an awesome dude, amazing dude. He played Starvo, but he was like just this really chill, nice person. If he was a jerk, when I OTK'd him on Vis, I would have looked at him and like Yahtzee. Sorry, no. But whether you were one of those Starvo players or not, Starvo was a heavy theme of the weekend, and I actually thought Prism was going to take some games.
I saw your video.
I know. And
this is why I don't watch your content. Okay. All right, I've been too mean to you. Only positive Josh the rest of the day.
I have to go back to work after this. You know this, right? Like I'm stopping my time to work to spend my time with you to then turn around and go back to work.
Being my friend is the worst.
It's not great.
No,
it's like I'm a 1 to 2 or a 9 or 10, and it's 1 to 2. It's 1 to 2, dude. But Starvo was all over the place. We got to keep this moving. I only got my lunch break. But Starvo was all over the place.
I got all day. I'm unemployed.
You suck. It was way more Starvo than I thought was going to happen in the top 8. But like, what was it? There was a percentage breakdown of the whole event that came out, right?
25. It was roughly 25% Starvo, 25% Prism, a little bit give or take some sides. Yeah, Starvo was 50% of the top 8. Prism was 2 of the 8. So
funny aside, we were at the top. We were looking for the top 8 tables, and I was looking to make my wrap up video, and we were trying to figure out what the top 8 was, and so it was 2 Starvo, 2 Prism, a Briar, a Chain, and then 2 blank. And we're like, oh, okay, let's find this out. Come to find out, the 2 blank were both Starvo. I was like, oh, that's.
And then the battle hardened was 5 of the top 8, I believe. Don't quote me. But the top 4 was 3 of the 4 top 4 were Starvo into Prism, and then
was it 5? I thought it was 3, and they all won.
Oh, I don't know. I thought it
was 3 and they all won, but maybe I'm wrong.
It was like the images are hard to read because it's all light. It's all like Bravo's got a light, hero.
Yeah. Starvo's got a light one. Yeah. And Prism's 100%. But okay, so there's a reason for this. Starvo's all over the place. There were 25, but there's a high level. But everyone pivoted onto Prism, and Prism's a harder deck to play. It's a harder deck to play. It 100% is. So before you get into whatever you're about to get into, just
that's fine. I feel like all we do is make excuses for Starvo. I feel like all we did, like, this is what drives me nuts, and like I don't care. Like, listen, I'm not a competitive player.
Wait, hold on. It drives you nuts, and you don't care?
Like, I'm not a competitive player, so at the end of the but I'm a content creator, and I feel like I have to defend the things that I hear from the community or criticize the things I hear from the community. And like, we said it with what was before Briar? It was
Chain.
We said it with Chain. Oh, it's just too easy to play, and the other decks are harder to play, and it's just easy. And then we said it with Briar. Oh, it's just too easy to play. It's just Cheerios. And now we're saying it with Starvo. Oh, it's just too easy to play, and the harder decks or the deck that goes against it is harder to play. Like, this is 3 events in a row, 3 metas in a row that have had a boogeyman that is quote unquote too easy to play, and the other one. So like, I'm sick of that. I'm just sick of the argument, but I get it. I agree with it. I'm just sick of it being okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just sick of it being like the thing that we just don't. I don't think that Starvo, honestly, I think at this point you just let it run. I think LSS is in a weird spot. Like, what are they going to do? Like, they're going to nerf it? Well, it's like it's about to hit Living Legend. I know that's not the point of Living Legend, but like, what are we, like 100 points away now? Like
I don't know the exact math. I was talking about the members of the HTTC Discord about this morning. It's a couple things to unpack here. We're gonna go back to front, right? From the bottom to the top, from what you just said. Living Legend is there, and maybe this isn't the exact purpose for Living Legend, but maybe it's time to let it do its thing, right? It's like you said, even if it's 100 points away, it wins one major event or a couple smaller ones. Starvo's gone, it's out of the meta, and then the community moves on.
Yeah.
Now is there problems with that related to it's one of the chases and a
So,
first edition
yeah.
product? Sure,
And
but
like, listen, that is seemingly the only problem.
yes,
Right,
yes,
like
see, yes,
that is like I think if we take out Starvo, the meta is completely open. If Starvo didn't exist, the
you
aggro
people.
decks can play against Prism. Like you've got like a more even meta. Oh, here's the straw. You know Josh is serious when his straw comes into play. You always have a straw. It's
I
always
drink a lot.
pink.
I drink a lot of what is it? Happy hour Dunkin' iced coffees.
Wow,
222 for large coffee.
beautiful. It's always
It's
about coffee
unfocusing.
on my podcast.
I know. That's why I like to have one with me just to keep you on your toes, dude.
All right.
It's oh god, dude, we're so far off track. It's
No, we're not.
okay.
We're talking about the meta. I'm saying if Starro didn't exist, the meta gets cleaned up pretty
No,
easily.
but people who I trust when it comes to this, I've definitely pivoted into more of a heavy content creator role now that I'm doing this 100% solely on my own. It's now, do I still participate in competitive events? Do I play test with competitive teams? Do I do it? Yes. And so, but I lean on big statements like this. I lean on those people that play hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games, right? And everyone I've talked to, all the members of Ascent, all the members of other teams, I'm not saying it's your team. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's a specific team. It's they all think that Starvo is not a problem. With Briar and Chain, they were very quick to say, I'm playing this deck because it's a problem. Like it just can't be beat. There's a lot of people that I'm on this deck because I have a good Starvo matchup and I'm good into the field here. That happened a lot. Now, conversely, the showings don't always come out that way, right? And whether it's because they're getting bad Starvo matches in their playtesting, or maybe they're just inherently wrong, whatever it is, the results are showing Starvo is out there crushing. But it's weird to me, and I don't feel comfortable being like, this is a problem that needs to be solved when all the people who do this, right, are telling me it's not. Those are the people I want to lean on here. So that's
Those
my
people need
first
to
two.
show up to these events and beat Starvo.
And don't get me wrong, that's why I'm saying there's
Yeah.
there's a chance they're just wrong. That's a possibility, but it's
Yeah.
the overwhelming like assumption that it's not a problem. It's powerful. It's a very good deck, and it's lower variance than other decks, which you think it would be higher variance, right? It's just
So
really
we know
consistent.
Team Kitchen Fable doesn't tell me anything. I can tell you at the beginning, Team Kitchen Fable was like Starvo's busted. It's really strong. It's really good. And
That's a
since
bad
then,
take of mine too.
huh? You said it
That's a
wasn't.
bad. I was like, it's not busted.
Listen, I think it's pretty good. Again, like I go back to like I'm not saying ban anything. I at this point I'm
Sure.
saying that like just let it ride out in my opinion. I mean we can talk about we'll talk about the financial implications in the market because obviously it's had financial implications on the cold foil, but like I think my thing is I think that the meta would be a lot more open. Have like Starvo is a little bit no, it's not a
But
little bit.
but
Starvo
that's
constricts the meta into Prism and Starvo. Viscera like had a little bit
people
of a thing, but
again, this is what I was saying. People that I talk to don't believe that's true. They believe the meta would be constricted in a different way.
okay.
So they don't think the removal of Starvo, because I asked the question, the content creator magic wand question, which is why I always keep these around, is if I were to poof Starvo away, what would the meta look like? They said it would look constricted but different.
All right,
So
comment section. Let us know because like this is
yeah,
I do not want to ever just be the team that's like, hey, ban things. Like I
me
hate
neither.
bans. You guys know my biggest frustration in all of history of LSS is that I believed wrongly that we were going to see a card game that was tested in a different way that was not going to see bans, which was a stupid thing to believe. And that is like I hate bans because that's what got me out of Magic the Gathering. I built
Sure.
standard decks. I spent $300 on what's the Hydroid, not Hydroid case, whatever one got Oko and whatever, and they got banned the next week. And like I hated that. I don't want to see that. But there's a
I agree.
problem when the deck is this meta defining, I think that there is an issue. Now, I will say, like, there was a lot of back and forth games. There were a lot of prisms that
Yep.
beat Bravos. I think, though, that like if you are a really, really strong Bravo player, it's just hard. Like, it's just hard to lose.
100%. I
So
think you're completely correct. It's very, it becomes a much more high skill matchup. And I said this on the stream that I commentated when what was it? Critical from Ascent won against Michael from Ascent when the ProQuest, they were in the top two, and I said, it's, you see Starvo players and everyone memes on Starvo, and shout out John Wood. You guys, if you're watching this channel, you know John Wood. He was on Starvo for Ascent this weekend. He was the Starvo player on Ascent, and we were giving him a very hard time. Poor guy. We're like, can we fill out your deck list in crayon? And we're like, maybe he should have wrote my name on mine.
I was just gonna do it.
Yeah, I mean, she's but
See, you make
but
fun
then
of
you can
yourself.
also,
It's okay that I joke around.
you can play Starvo at a much higher level, and you saw yesterday these players are playing Starvo at a higher level. They're playing it on a different plane than the rest of the field, and it's not a coincidence, guys. No matter what the meta is, it seems like the same 10 people are in the top 8 of all these events. It's not because the deck is busted. These players are good. These players are winning games. The winner actually knocked me out of the calling Cincy. I was very sad. It was a very close game. I misplayed. And he called a judge, and he was right, and I was wrong. And he beat me, and I was like, oh no. This is sad. No, it's horrible. He beat me down.
I like at the end of the day, I think it'll be interesting to see what LSS does, is my point.
Okay.
I think this is going to be
It's a conversation piece.
This is a
sure.
contention point for sure between the community and LSS of 3 sets in a row that have brought in a new hero that has defined the meta in a big way. Like this is going to be a contention point for the community. I just don't know if it's even like, I just don't know if it's worth it to do anything, or if you just let Living Legend.
I think at this
run
point, when you're so close, you let it run its course, because
there's no way that this is the tell for me. They did not anticipate this happening. If they anticipated this happening, there's no way Starvo would be the second chase card of their new set. If they anticipated this happening, there's no way.
Yeah, because that's way. That's terrifying. Let's. I know we're going to talk about the market later. Put a little pin.
Okay. Yeah.
Put a little pin. No, I'm saying you can keep talking about it now. I do want to touch on that because I think that's important.
Let's hit it when we hit the market.
Okay, because if that happened, that's a big deal. But you keep talking about LSS. So these games, these small games, these metas and stuff, they revolve around these big companies that either make the game or host the events. And Star City Games.
God, you're so good at transitioning.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful. I know I'm ruining it right now. I just wanted to compliment your podcasting skills. That was just a beautiful transition.
Thank you. With you, it's very hard. It's very difficult, but I make it work. I deserve to sometimes be pampered a little bit by no, Star City Games did a really good job this weekend. And while there were some things that happened as far as tournament play and things of that nature that I disagreed with from a high level, from the top down perspective, this event rocked. It really captured the environment. All the people there are always super positive. They're super nice to everyone. They're really welcoming. They handle the tough situations, most of the time to the best of their ability. I think they did an awesome job, and the content they put out around it was fantastic. It was cool. That was something you were passionate about, right? I mean, I was there. This is your time. You were watching the what did you feel from an experience?
So I come from a background in video. I don't know that song. Anyway, I come from a background in video production, photography, and live stream management. I have 2 years of professional experience building like live streams, in my case for a church, a large church.
Yes.
And COVID happened, and I was responsible for pretty much all most of the organization of setting that up. So I have a lot of not super high level, but relatively high level streaming stuff. And so I'm very critical because I see the opportunity for that. I saw the opportunity for it in the pandemic for that perspective, but also I see the opportunity for it to grow the game. So previously we had, the stream and there was no card images. And I thought that was a huge miss. I thought it was a huge miss for the community, and even bigger, I thought it was a huge miss for new players. And I am a content creator of the game who loves the game, and I have a hard time following along with the game when there aren't card images.
Dude, you're right. And just to add to that, I play tons of games, and sometimes I can't follow along. I'm with you.
Yeah, and especially if you can't be listening the whole time. Like when I'm like, first off, the events they streamed for 12 hours yesterday.
I can't 12 hours of content.
No, I can't sit there and watch 12 hours.
The game.
So often you're just watching without audio, and you can't hear the amazing commentators. And like
they did commentators a really good job too.
Did a fantastic job. I think it was the best commentated event yet. No shade to throw. No shade. Not that the other ones were poorly commentated, but the
dude, it sucks that you have to say that, right? You can't like pick someone up without. It's like you're putting.
Welcome to 2022 and the internet.
That's
but like I think like the commentators did a fantastic job.
They did awesome.
But like you can't always be listening. Like I was watching last night, putting my kids to bed, and like I'm reading a book to my daughter, and I have it. I didn't have my screen up. I had it like face down, and then my daughter's falling asleep on my shoulder, and I'm like, watching, but I can't have the audio on, right?
And so as your daughter's falling asleep, you see a judge ruling, and then you see a judge come over and overturn the ruling, and you see a lot of celebration and several tears, and you wonder, I wonder why that just happened.
Yeah. So like I think like they did a great job with the card images, and to me it tells me Star City Games cares about growing this game. It's not just a business transaction for them. They actually have stake. They put the work in to make it better than it was. Now there are still things I think can be better. I kind of was talking on stream. I think if they zoomed in, I might even do a video on this, but if they took the combat chain and made it laterally on the bottom of the screen so you could actually see the card, like the card colors and the combat chain, that kind of thing. There's a lot of ways they could do even better, but I thought it was a huge step forward. And I think that they deserve a lot of praise for their whole, thing. There were
I still have like a rate. Go ahead.
Sorry. Almost 2,000 people watching at the end too, which is really good.
Wait, really? There was 2K viewers on the last game?
I don't think it actually quite hit that, but it was close to that.
That's pretty sick, dude.
There was like 1,200 the whole time through.
Yep. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go Star City Games. Let's go FaB. That's really?
Yep.
Dude, that's pretty cool. I did not know those numbers. That has me stoked. I like those numbers. But I don't know. You have a tendency to do this, and I think this is one of the areas we butt heads, where this content this weekend between commentary, presentation, and just overall, like just the content, just the stream as a whole, I think it took a leap forward. It took a leap. It was insane. And then you're driven by content. You're like, okay, we took this leap.
Yeah.
This is the next leap. And that's where I go, no, man, we took this leap. Let's let this, and I think it's just our different backgrounds. Let's let this play and see what the community actually wants. The community wanted card images, and you are a great voice of this community. And you were able to ascertain that between your own personal needs and then talking with members of the community, you said, oh, card images are kind of a thing. It's not just Louis. It's not just me. It's not just Josh. Everyone seems to want these as a theme. The ideas you're coming up with are very interesting, but they won't hit like they should if the community doesn't need them. It's not like, oh, it's something we're clamoring for. So I say let this hit. Star City Games set the precedent. Yeah, if you do a big flesh and blood event, if you're Channel Who's What's It's or whatever.
I don't think that's going to be happening.
Whatever it is.
Hot take. It's not going to happen.
Fireball.
Hot take. Star City Games is going to be in charge of all the events moving forward.
I would not be surprised. But if somebody else gets an event, that's the precedent. That's the baseline for these big events. Let's not push it outside because we can overcrowd it. We could complicate it. We can make it worse. I think they did a great job. It was a simple game. It was a simple presentation for a complex game, and that's important. It played well on screen. They did an awesome job, and it just personally too, just interacting with people they were cool. It was nice.
Yeah, listen, we've talked about this on the podcast. I have a terrible disease in my brain where I see things the way they could be in the future and the best possible outcome of them. And I'm never happy. This is a struggle. This is a struggle for me on the YouTube channel. This is a struggle for me in my marriage. This is a struggle for me in my life.
The way you phrase that is just wrong. right?
Why?
It's just because it's best possible in your opinion. If the community
Yeah.
doesn't want, if the out of the 2,000 people watching,
Yeah.
only 20 of them want that combat chain, right? Then it's the combat chain added is not the best possible experience. If the other people are like, this is the best experience, then we shouldn't
Yeah.
overcount. Like Magic the
Yeah.
Gathering, right? Magic, a game that's been around forever, content's been made around it forever, and we've seen content grow from the old, like modern events to what it is now. And actually, Star City Games setting kind of a precedent for that too. But it reaches a
Listen.
point where it's like we don't over it. This is what it is, and this is the cleanest, clearest presentation of it, and that becomes the precedent.
Well, like this is where I'm going to argue with you. In the 90s, we had Magic the Gathering content on ESPN.
Sure.
Did you know that on the
No.
national TV there was Magic the Gathering?
Was it ESPN 8? The Ocho?
No, it was like ESPN. Like go Google it. Like there was Magic the Gathering
believe
content on ESPN. And like I feel like as an industry we've gone backwards instead of forwards. Like I feel like the industry deserves.
We have not. It was on ESPN because there was no Twitch.
I get it. No,
the
I know.
place where people who desire Magic the Gathering content, my straw, they don't gather around ESPN. They don't gather on the TV anymore.
I'm not
this
saying
community
needs to be on
gathers around a
ESPN.
different device. But
it was cool. Like they had professional, like they had people with cameras on the hands. So when you were talking about what is this guy going to do, you had the cards up on the hand. It's just cool. Like I'm sorry.
Yes.
Like listen,
yeah,
I will never be happy and I will always live with that. But I think it's like I want to live in a world that has that kind of content for streaming. And I'm not saying anything negative. Star City Games gets a 10 out of 10. No, they get a 9 out of 10 in my book. Nothing deserves a 10 out of 10. There's no world.
Especially not me.
So I thought it was amazing and really, really good. And if the previous people got a 4 out of 10, card images bump it up to 9 out of 10.
And if you too find that you can't be happy, realize you can with legions, realms at war. Wow. Be the warlord, the legion your needs you to be. Something.
Why are you all so sarcastic about my love for legions?
I'm not. I have the website up because I'm constantly looking. I freaking love this game.
The artwork's super cool. Yeah.
I just wanted to throw, because you said if I talk about other TCGs on this podcast, people are gonna get mad at you. So that's kind of what I'm leading into.
Only one Metazoo.
Is it MetaZoo?
Just MetaZoo.
Be the meta your zoo needs you to be. So I thought this would be the one that triggered you the most, but I gotta go MetaZoo. All right. Yeah. Now I know.
Yeah. So I mean, I thought I did hear a lot of judging things. I think that's fine. Like this was their first event. This was their first event. I heard a lot of complaints about the judges though from people who were at the event. I heard somebody told me that one of their side events, and this is one of the things I said leading up to this for the record. One of their side events, the judges, they asked the judge, "Hey, how much games you played?" And they'd only played 2 games of Flesh and Blood.
Okay, well,
they were the main judge for the entire side event.
So I had a person come over, and it was a good friend of mine. And you talked to him in the car last night. We won't name his name, but he was a good friend of mine. And he rode with me. And he said a judge came over and during one of his like battle hardened events and said, he was like, "Hey judge, just so you know, I was 4 minutes late. I don't know if my opponent showed up, but then he just got to the table as well. We want to make sure we handle this correctly." Like he's one of those grinders. Like he wants to be sure. And so him and his opponent both just wanted to make sure they do it the right way. And he's like, "So we should both just take an IP4?" And the judge looks at him and goes, "Wouldn't you rather just both draw game 1 and move on to game 2? And both the Flesh and Blood players were like, "Sure, that sounds great." Which is more of like a Magic, like that seems like a Magic workaround.
Why would they want to do that? Isn't a draw like a double loss in FaB still?
No, in Magic the Gathering, it's a 3-game match. But in Flesh and Blood, it's a one-off game. So if both players are late and take a penalty, they just instead of one player getting penalized or penalizing both players playing the game and then still running out of time, they draw game 1 and they play 2 games best of 2.
Yeah, so like they didn't even know that. I thought you meant round 2, not game 2. So they didn't even know that it was singleton.
Yeah, he's like, "So why don't you just draw game 1 and go to game 2?" And they were both just like, "Oh, okay." And they just played. No, they're just like, "Okay, we're just gonna play." Like,
But like,
yeah, stuff like
listen,
that's just those are just funny stories and one off. And mind you, in a field this big with this many people and this many judges, funny things like that will happen. It's gonna happen.
this is important. This is the second event that Star City Games has hosted, and I think that is a growing pain of them growing into Flesh and Blood. And I'd
100%.
rather have that. And listen, the judges at the other events were
Who
not
hosted the other
better.
events, Lewis?
Oh, that would be the Card Shop Live. They hosted the other events. The they were just bad. I remember when I was playing, I bought my tickets. I spent like $180 to buy tickets to play in a second Tales of Aria first edition draft at Vegas.
Okay.
And like we finished, like everyone finished round one, and nobody was there to like be like, "Hey guys, we're pairing round two." It was like an hour and 45 minutes.
Oh, you told me about this.
And it was just like, listen,
Everyone's
like I'm going to dinner now, and like I didn't even
yeah.
get to finish the draft because like
right.
And so like I like this is to be expected, I think.
Yeah, growing pains are going to happen.
So.
And then just while we're on the topic, I think everyone here expects us to address it. There's a video that will be coming out this week. I do an interview with the one, the only John Wood of Team Hometown TCG Ascent, the second sexiest player in Flesh and Blood after me. He had an incident. Let's call it. It's just a couple events on stream and stuff like that, and everyone wants to talk about his game. He got to play against Matt Rogers, which is super cool, and they were playing a game, and then things went back and forth. He gets to address a lot in that video, and I never have in our entire friendship.
Pump it, baby. Pump it. Everybody go watch this video at Hometown TCG.
No, I want John to be able to speak for himself, but I do want to point out that since people are going to want us to address it, I have never seen anyone, no matter frustrated, happy, sad, mad, John handled himself like an amazing member of the community in that moment.
Yep.
No matter what fell his way, what didn't, he represented Flesh and Blood and obviously Team Ascent and Team Hometown TCG. Like he represented
Team Reaction Phase, and then thus Team
Kids Table TCG. He represented the community in a way that's just insane. I was really as a friend, as a lifelong friend of him, a guy who stood up in my wedding. I was just proud to like be his friend at that moment, to go through that and then be able to act that way. So I want to shout him out because people are going to want to hear that story and they're going to ask him about it and stuff. And it's going to be a buzz, but he did an amazing job. So I shout out John. John does not watch any of my content or yours. There's not a chance, but he deserves a shout out and he did incredibly
good. Yeah. I don't want to address that thing. I that was not a great look in my opinion.
I know we talked about it on the phone last night, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to talk about the market?
I do want to talk about the market, but I want
all the things you know. No, you learned a lot.
I know, but I want to be able to hit you with the facts, dude. In like the middle, you're gonna be like, "This is the case." I'm like, "No, it's not." Boom.
Okay, we got 8 minutes, so let's hit let's go back to our conversation.
Okay.
Starvo is now. Last night it was $130 card for the cold foil on TCG Player. I don't know what it is now. Last night it was $130. Listen, there was a huge buyout on Starvo, and I did in one of my market updates. I said, listen, everyone, this is a risky investment. It is printed to the same percentage based on somebody that opened 1,000 boxes of Everfest, printed at roughly the same, maybe a little bit less than the other cold foil Majestics, maybe like 10% less according to their data, which is still within the realms of like just variance. And it is a $275 card when the other cold foil Majestics are an average of $35. This seems like a risky buy. And I got from one area of our community, let's just leave it at that, about
we're leaving a lot of it at that on this podcast. You notice that?
5 different people messaging me telling me that I was fudding the market and that I shouldn't have said that, blah 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 blah. But like I just didn't want people buying a $270 $5 card and then getting screwed because it's a risk. That was a risky investment from the front. Never mind the idea that like if Starver was really good and busted and he got nerfed, or they did an errata, or he gets Living Legend, it can't be played in any format because it's also not a blitz card. So now in a player's market, there's a card that has nothing other than looking pretty, which it is a beautiful card.
Which would normally be a collector's piece, but the collector's market is not the strongest right now.
It's just not going to fund a $275 card that's not any rarer than the other Majestics. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So like I just want to say, like, you still need to be worried. I still think $150 is probably too much, especially that it could hit Living Legend status soon if they don't change something. Like, this is where, like, I think LSS did not anticipate this being as powerful of a hero, because if they did, then I don't understand why they made it one of the chases of the set, unless they didn't intend that to happen and the community made it the chase of the set. But, like, listen, come on, everyone thought that was the chase of the set.
No, no, they made it the chase. It's the very first double-sided FaB card. It's a cold foil. It's one in what feels like a freaking billion to me. I mean, you said it's a risky investment at the current price. I bought it for slightly higher than that, so I'm
to be fair, you did ask me if I thought $200 was a good price, and I think I told you to buy it.
You did,
but the market was at like 270 that week, and I said,
I think it was slightly less because I also traded some stuff. But yeah. Oh, dude, I don't know. This was intended to be the chase card, right? I think it wasn't intended to be as powerful. The hero ability seems like an ability that leans into the vein of fun. Yeah. It leans into Yahtzee
and Carnival.
But this is my least favorite phrase of Everfest. Everfest will always be associated with Yahtzee to me, and I like when someone says Yahtzee in the play star. It gets me. But they intended that, but it does make me worry that if they intended that, that's arguably just a bad decision, right? I don't call much a bad decision, but if that was intentional, that in my opinion is a bad decision. So that's kind of dangerous, and that could have led to some of the stuff we were looking at today or this weekend. It was $500 boxes of Everfest, and all boxes were $500 boxes, $200 cases of Everfest at this one booth.
There was $50 boxes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes. Oh my God. I said $500, $50 boxes of Everfest.
People were selling Everfest boxes for $50.
$50 per box, and the reason was they claimed that they flew the product out there. They did not want to fly it home. That was the reason given. So when this happened, first of all, I couldn't believe someone didn't like call you and have you on the phone while they bought one, because that's like your shtick. I almost did just for fun, but.
That's my shtick. People call me when they're buying things now.
No, the market, man. You're the market man. I ask you if I should buy cards at a price, and I'm the one playing them. And I ask you, hey Louis, is this fine?
Yeah,
like that was scary.
$50. That's less than. I don't want to get into what I pay, but I would buy that if I were looking to sell boxes.
Well, a lot of people were buying and then just taking them home with them, and I'm sure they're planning on. So watch out for the market to be flooded. But the singles market was interesting. This is the information you don't have. I know a certain booth that did a ton of value in singles. They made a ton of money. That's not fair to say. They sold a ton of cards. They were selling cards like it was their job. I sat down there, which it was.
It's funny because it is their job.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said it.
Hey, there's a link in the description of my videos for $5 off your order, $50 more at Min-Max Games.
I held up the hoodie upside down when I was showing them off once, and Pete goes, "It's Winwax Games." I go, "That's not the first time you've had to say that. Like, you've held this hoodie up upside down before." So, I mean, cards were moving, and events like this just show people are buying the cards that they want to play. It leans into this whole players market thing, but people weren't buying certain cards. They weren't like, I do a video with Pete. They weren't buying Command and Conquers, which was a surprise. He's like, "Yeah, we got Command and Conquers left over. We used to not be able to keep them, and it's a sign of a couple things. Not only the meta shift, but people are buying these cards and they're just good. You just get to keep them and keep playing them. So once you make the purchase, that's it. You're done. You just have them."
Yeah.
So it's got a little staying power.
Also,
I like that.
That also hones in this, what I said earlier, that the game is just kind of there's not a ton of new players coming in that need those Command and Conquers.
There's not a ton of new players that want those Command and Conquers. Maybe people, no, they sold Blitz decks and starter decks all day long. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. I know we're running out of time.
I was going to get into that. I think the next huge wave of players will be the next actual set. Like I think like the pre-release, the new set hype is what this is, and Everfest just didn't do that, in my opinion, because there was no pre-release.
Magic the Gathering players were buying blitz decks and precons
Yeah.
from MinMax in droves, a ton of them.
Yeah, it was a great thing. Yeah,
it was cool. Anyway, so that's the market. I was more card singles than I expected to see, but that's maybe.
But you're talking playable singles, not cold foils, if I'm understanding correctly.
Some people were buying cold foils here and there, but I would think the majority of sales were cold foils. Yeah. Or playable singles. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the high end stuff, it's been interesting this week. Saw lots of just not things moving, lots of cards on the market, but not lots of moving again. It just kind of is what it is until FaB 2.0 comes out. I mean, that's the attitude. Rudy's been saying it.
Right. But Rudy's down, man. Rudy's down bad.
I can't tell if Rudy's faking it, man. Like you think Rudy's just like milking it, or you think he's actually down? He definitely seems down to me.
He definitely seems down. I don't know. I've
not been encouraged about my market views this week listening to Rudy. But anyway, love him. Agree with him for the most part.
Anyway, let's go to the closing crazy comment section before you ruin the little relationship that you have with Alpha Investments.
No, I was saying I love him. I agree with him.
I know, but normally you follow it up with, and this is ways you can improve. I love you. I agree with you. This is the best you've ever been. Here's what you need to do to
usually improve. I'm like, no, he has the opposite opinion of me about FaB, and lately seems to be the same thing I've been saying. So, all right. My comment is from Thomas Barkowski. Quote from us: 90% of players don't know how to play against Kano. End quote. Thomas Barkowski. Me, I have no idea how to play against Kano.
Let me react to that. Fair. It's fair. This is fair.
There was a couple people playing Kano this weekend.
There were. I was gonna play content Kano, and the two routes were I win events and games, and I get to make content about winning with Kano, or I lose in the first 2 rounds. I get to spend the rest of the day making content. Boom, content Kano.
Love it,
dude. And my closing crazy comment section is from Aaron Cutchbirth, and he points out a couple of our hot takes from the episode. So we have a tendency to use the phrase hot take, which I think I've been trying to remove from my vocabulary.
I don't think we said it this week.
Well, I'm about to. Hot take. This is my closing crazy comment section. Hot takes: Josh's butt, Louis' cold foil commons, and 10-year-old birthday party next weekend.
Oh, we forgot.
What did we forget?
This is our 10-year-old birthday party. This is episode 10. We were supposed to have hats. Do we have to
suck.
Do we have to reshoot? Do you want me to edit them in? I'll edit them in. We'll have hats the whole time. Not doing it.
He undid the edit. I had to go back.
Yeah.
No, Aaron, thank you so much for the comment. This has been awesome, and I appreciate hanging out with you and chat with you, even if we don't agree on everything. And so far, you've been wrong about everything, and I've been right. Oh my god,
that is not at all the way that history works.
No, but you have to go, and you don't have time to argue with me. So, in closing, thank you for watching the reaction phase. Click the like button, click the subscribe button, go over to Kitchen Table TCG, do the same. Do you have anything you want to say in close?
Yeah, remember to be kind to the people around you guys, and we appreciate you watching. Hope to see you again next video.
And before we see you, remember to be kind to the people around you.
Wait, you got it ready? You want to do it together? Ready? You always yeah. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Wow, that was horrible.
I actually covered mine.